you?
Hi, Ariana. Nice to meet you. I'm good. How are you?
Good. So let's get this started. Tell me a little bit about your character, Dylan.
Um, yeah, Dylan's, especially right when we meet him, soft-spoken, highly intelligent and observational, maybe to the point of being a little self-conscious, caring, thoughtful, conscientious young guy, very loyal to his friends. And he also carries around a lot of weight of a standard that he set for himself, both, I guess, even kind of spiritually and morally and ethically. And I think that weight, he has a little bit of trouble loosening his grip on it. He tends to cast a darker shadow than he might appear to at first.
Yes, for sure. So, what made you interested in this role?
Um, I mean, the character is so multi-layered. I think that all the characters are. It wouldn't be any fun if there was one interesting character and then the rest are just archetypes. All the characters, there's so much to play off of. The characters feel like they have real history with each other. Um, Dylan is, I think, a really unique role for an actor in this kind of in this kind of piece where, yes, there's a callback to certain kinds of archetypes within YA and teen shows and teen horror, but we get to see the kind of extremes of that of his personality, and that's such a privilege to get to play with as an actor. Like that's what I think a lot of us are interested in doing is exploring the limits of behavior and human experience. Uh,
Yeah,
so all of those things uh, drove me to the character. And I'll just say what drove me to the story is it's just like impeccably written and fun. And it's you couldn't ask for a better break.
for sure. Like, how was it like shooting Hawaii? It looks beautiful, even with all the murder.
Yeah, it's definitely beautiful with all the murder. I mean, obviously the natural beauty of Hawaii is it's there. I lived a 10-minute walk from one of the most beautiful beaches on the island. But I was kind of you know left a little breathless by how welcomed we were by the community there, by our local crew who is so generous with us. There is a very strong sense of identity for locals on the island, and it was one that was very inclusive and open-hearted, and that made it that made it really special to work there. We said every time they have a production there, they do a blessing over the production when they start,
Oh.
like a traditional Hawaiian blessing, and I love that stuff. I studied anthropology in college, and I loved all their cultures and learning about them.
Where did
Um,
you go to college?
I went to Johns Hopkins University.
Oh, cool, cool. Baltimore. That's nice.
Yeah, I love Baltimore. Shout out to Baltimore.
Are you originally from Baltimore?
No, I grew up in Los Angeles actually.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely completely different. So I'm sure it was nice to experience that. And in the show, I enjoyed how it definitely brought in Hawaiian and Polynesian elements, even
Yeah.
with the funeral, and how she was sent off. I really enjoyed how the show respected the community, I felt like.
Well, I think, and even talking to our showrunner, I think that's something that the show did really well. Is we didn't make the show try to speak for Hawaii. We didn't try to make it about that because that would I don't think that would have been appropriate for the show. But we did try to honor the place by being incorporated within our story, right? We didn't,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that element of the show for sure.
Yeah. And how did you prepare for the role? Were you a fan of the movie or the book, or did you look at it as an entirely separate piece of work?
I looked at it as an entirely separate piece of work. After I got cast, I went back and watched the movie, which gave me a lot of information about the world and the franchise and the legacy that I was a part of, which I felt very privileged to be a part of. And then in terms of preparation, you know, you look at what's similar to yourself, and then for gaps in my knowledge, like Dylan is very good at math, right? He's a computer science person. He's going to MIT. I could not be worse at math. Uh, but I got to talk to a friend of mine who's getting his PhD in computer science, specializing in machine learning, just to get a sense of a way of thinking that discipline employs, and uh, that can be very informative in terms of a character's way of seeing the world, right? So I did my research on that. I did my research. I talked to a couple other people who shared some similar life experiences to Dylan, just to get a sense and to give your imagination some nutrients.
Yeah. So, what is Dylan's relationship like with the twins? Because we see that at least Allison has a crush on him and it seems mutual, but she doesn't know that at the time when she is alive.
Yeah,
So, how would you describe his relationship with Allison in the friend group? Because, as you said, he's very methodical, but comes from a background with his two moms who are very hippy dippy, and then his friends are huge partiers. Like, how does he fit into this entire mix?
yeah. I think that inherent in your question is the idea that he doesn't quite fit anywhere in the world, and I think that Allison is the only other person that he knows who is really like that. Where she's not, she has this. Allison has this image of like the perfect her in Lennon, right?
Yeah.
And Allison's nothing like that. So he sees kind of another, uh, like another person adrift, and I think that that's what she represents to him, is the only possible person who could understand who he really is as someone who feels alone in the world, and maybe he feels separated because of his intelligence or his sensitivity or his ideals. Riley, he's obviously very close with, but Allison represents like a kind of salvation in another person to him. That's obviously taken away, and I think that once any hope in your life is gone, and it's your own fault that it's gone, what effect that would have on anybody, I don't know. But yeah, I think that she for him is, she's like hope of not being alone.
Yeah. And what would you say some of your favorite scary movies are?
Oh, I love so many. I love all of David Cronenberg's work that I've seen. The Fly, Videodrome, Scanners. Those are excellent body horror movies. The Guillermo del Toro, The Exorcist. Ashley talks about that a lot, and reminded me that I want to rewatch that because I love that movie so much. In terms of slashers, I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's a big scary movie for me. Yeah, those are the ones that are coming out. I love Get Out. Uh, those are coming to the top of mind right at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like you like a lot of the psychological horror. Like, of course, there's murder, but even within this show, you have like your kind of classic horror elements. You live
Exactly.
by a beach. There's
Yep.
twins. Like those two combinations, I'm like, okay, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
has easy access to sharp objects, but
Yeah.
I love how this show approached it in such a different way and took a different perspective on this IP that was originally a book, a movie, and now a TV show.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it, and congrats on the show.
Thank you, Ariana. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks.